Hi, Sudeep.
Hi, Dean. How are you today?
Good, thank you. Okay, so Sudeep, here's our hypothetical. You just started a 1 year engagement, fractional CMO engagement. Today's day one.
hmm
Um, tell people a little bit about you, and then tell them what a fractional CMO is and what a fractional CMO would do in the first 90
hmm
days of an engagement.
Sure, a great way to start. I love that question. So, a little bit about myself. My name is Sudeep Kaur Bansi. I'm a fractional CMO and marketing consultant. I've come out of the strategic branding world of Fortune 500s, and I use that foundation to inform my work with smaller companies. I build marketing strategies that build on their purpose
Right?
and how they're seeking alignment with both their market and their customers.
Right.
In terms of what is a fractional CMO, a lot of people have different definitions. A lot of fractional CMOs themselves have different definitions, but the
Yeah,
idea is
you do.
just you're not a CMO with one company at one time.
Right.
You split your time amongst different companies. Your responsibilities at those companies may differ between themselves, but you bring the experience and the skill set of a very qualified and experienced professional in an engagement that requires less time than the usual 40-ish hours a week. And
Right.
that could be for several different reasons, constraints, choices, that it's structured that way. So that's usually how I explain it to people. And I feel like it's a newer term in the industry, but the concept is fairly intuitive. So, on to your question about the 90-day new client that I just landed. First of all, I'm going to celebrate every single win. So, I'm going to celebrate that. Next, in terms of strategic work, I like to start with a positioning workshop because that really is the center of a lot of things.
Yeah.
And what I do is I start with about half a day or so with the C-suite, as many people as we can bring on. If we're able to bring on some customers, that's even better, but that usually doesn't happen. And the problem with positioning is with a lot of people, especially as they're growing, and especially as they realize what worked from the 0 to 1 phase of growth is not going to work for the 1 to 10, 100, etc. So they do have some positioning, but they just arrived at it by accident almost. So it's a default positioning, it's not a deliberate positioning.
Right.
And that's what I like to work on with them to begin with. And this is just an understanding of what is your value? What is your differentiated value that nothing from the market, either a direct competitor or a substitute, can provide? Who are the people that care the most about this value? What are you the best in the world at? So, a combination of a bunch of these things. And I do have to give credit where it's due. A lot of my positioning philosophy comes from April Dunford.
Mhm.
Highly recommend her content to anyone that's in this space. She's also very interesting in her storytelling and all of that. So, anyway, so the first sub problem that I find most clients struggle with is they do not have a very accurate, a very specific definition of who their target audience is. And that is, I keep repeating this to anyone who listen. If you cannot pinpoint people you don't want to be selling to, your strategy is not tight enough.
Right.
And you don't want to be wasting resources, time, effort, money in going after people that are not the customers that are going to like you best. So you first start with solving the problem of who is the exact audience. And then, of course, you dive deeper and deeper into what does that audience really look for? What are their, depending on the product space, et cetera, B2B, B2C, what are their aspirations? What are their ambitions? What are their inhibitions? And then you weave those into everything else that you do. And once you have that foundation of a strong positioning, everything else works on top of that.
That sounds
So
like a
this is
very
the
busy 90
foundation.
days.
Yes. So you get the foundation ready, and then everything from your communication, marketing, ads that you run, campaigns that you decide to do, events you decide to go to, all of that builds on top of that.
Okay. Ilan, same question, my friend. So you've just started a 1 year engagement, hypothetically, fractional CMO. Today's day one. All right. Tell people a little bit about you and what a fractional CMO might do in the first 90 days. I keep asking the same questions because I keep getting variations and different answers. I love it.
Yeah, it's fine. It makes sense because
Yeah,
no two CMOs are similar or identical.
that's true.
Hi, Did. My name is
Hey,
Ilan Vagenshtein, and I'm a fractional CMO and a product marketing consultant. Fractional CMO is usually for the smaller customers. Product marketing, I Typically, this is a more strategic service that I do for larger customers.
Right.
And my answer is very similar to Sudeep. I think that I would use the word strategy. When you get to a new customer, especially startups, which are the main consumers of fractional CMOs, they want to grow. They want to. They're all about growth. They're all about generating leads, etc., etc. But you cannot generate leads and you cannot grow if you don't have a well-defined strategy. Meaning, you may be shooting all over the place and missing the target. And the target is, who is your exact audience? By the exact audience, you may have multiple customers or multiple prospects that you can sell for, but we are aiming at what we call in marketing the ideal customer profile, or ICP, and these are the low-hanging fruits. These are the
Right.
customers who need you the most. These are the customers to whom it will be the easiest to sell, not easy, but easiest. Sales cycles will typically be shorter and you will grow faster. And as you grow, the ICP evolves. It never stays the same, but this is where you start, and you want to start very focused. So you need a very well-defined target audience at which to focus your efforts. You need very precise messaging. You need to clearly define what are your differentiators versus the market, because it's very rare that you're by yourself in the market starting a new category. Usually there are competitors. So what is your unique value, etc., etc. So this is something that I would start with in the first 90 days. Alongside that, I would do a really deep analysis of the business.
Yeah.
This is speaking with the CEO and with the other leadership about what are the strategic goals, which I will need to translate to marketing goals. And pardon for all the beeps. I don't know if you hear them. Something is beeping here in the background.
You're popular.
Yeah, apparently.
Well,
Yes.
let me ask this then. Okay. Let's move away from the fractional CMO and let's pretend I'm the CEO at your client. Okay.
Yep.
I probably had to like convince a board to put aside enough money to even hire a CMO, fractional CMO. Right? How do I get like maximum value out of that 1 year engagement that I ended up, securing the budget for from fractional CMO? Or if you prefer, how do clients waste the money that they put aside to pay a fractional CMO?
Okay. It's pretty much the same answer
Yeah.
from two sides of the coin. The best and the most important thing that a CEO needs to do is define very clear strategic goals, business goals, not necessarily marketing goals.
Sure.
He or she needs to define very clearly where they want to take the business, and then trust the marketing person to the fractional CMO to convert those into marketing strategy and into marketing tactics. Now, one of the most repeatable mistakes that I see founders do, especially new founders, is trying to be in the trenches, trying to get involved in marketing tactics, trying to dive directly into tactics, trying to influence. Now, founders, the ones that I've been working for many years, they're brilliant people, but they are technical people. Many of them, maybe even most of them, don't really understand marketing. They know where they want to go. They know they have a vision.
Mm-hmm.
But once they start getting into tactics and trying to influence, this is often where things starts going sideways. So, and this is where you start seeing waste and both money and time. Time is often even more important than money in startups.
Right. And Sudeep, if I'm the CEO, like how would I waste the money that I've put aside
Yeah,
to pay you
so
for a year?
Yeah. So given that Ilan mostly comes from the product marketing side of the house, I
Yeah.
mostly come from brand marketing and strategy with some product as well. So in my experience, it's sometimes the opposite. The CEO thinks, okay, here's a marketer, we have them for say a year, and they're going to figure it out and they're going to make a change. The thing is, whether you're a CEO who decided to hire someone to come in and head marketing because you don't understand how that works, or you're someone who kind of gets it but cannot prioritize it because there's so much other mission critical stuff that you're working on. In either case, you need to be very actively involved in a lot of things. And I agree with Elon. Don't get into the trenches. Don't
Mhm.
micromanage. Nobody likes that on either side. But what I need you to understand is that before I'm able to add a lot of value, open new doors, set up some new systems, I'm going to need a lot of time with you directly or indirectly just to understand a lot of things. And then as I begin to go from the learning mode into the execution mode or even the strategy mode, you need to be a partner in one, ensuring alignment throughout the organization, and two, just making sure that I have access to the right available inputs and resources at all times. So this is not one of those things that you outsource and then it's the end of your side of responsibility. It needs to last a little bit more than that. So there needs to be that balance between, the kind of problem that Ilan is talking about and this problem where you think, okay, well, you're in, so figure it out, go for it and do your thing. I'm out. Neither of those works.
Yeah. Okay, so let's switch to imagine that you're in this hypothetical engagement. There's already a marketing team there. Okay, junior people, mid-level people. Not talking about the company as a whole, but how does hiring a fractional CMO like improve things for the marketing team?
Yeah, so this actually, I think, is the most common case where there's some junior employees, maybe some interns,
Hmm.
freelancers working within smaller marketing functions and tactics. And that's when the company decides we need a more strategic voice, we need someone with more experience, qualifications, perhaps. So, my response is, and this is going to sound a little mushy, but go in with openness and curiosity and even humility.
Right.
So, in a sense, think of the existing marketing team who maybe, your juniors by a decade, I don't know, but they have had experience that you have not had. They have done experiments that you have no information about. So
Hmm.
think of them as your customer. Think of exactly the same process that you have with understanding a new customer. You need to understand where they're coming from, what their experience is like, what their approach is like. And I think as marketers, there's always this rush to the novelty stuff that you can do. And I've been learning and I've been trying to be very proactive in taking that philosophy of you first do more of what's working, you then do a better job of it, and then you start doing the new stuff. So don't rush to make a huge change that causes too much disruption. Build on top of whatever already exists. And this do more, do better new philosophy comes from Alex Hormozy. And I really appreciate that guy for a lot of business lessons
Yeah.
that he has. But the idea that you do not know better than everyone. You do not have experience that's going to radically change what happens here. There needs to be some good stuff that's happening. Shine the spotlight on that and work your way from there. Also identifying what is some stuff that has not been looked at so far. What is some stuff that's not working and might need to be jettisoned.
And Ilan, what do you think? Like just talking about the marketing team, right?
Well,
How are they better off at the end of the year when that fractional CMO has been there?
from the marketing, so first of all, for the marketing team and even for most of the organization, there is the real difference between a fractional CMO and a full-time CMO.
Right.
Literally the same thing.
Hmm.
The only difference is that a fractional will work a few hours or not a full time. That's literally the only thing. Another thing is that perhaps a fractional CMO will be more senior or more veteran because the company can afford to bring someone more senior in a part time versus someone who is full time. So that's just basically there's no difference. For the marketing team, it's a huge opportunity. It's a huge opportunity to share, like Sudeep said, to share what they've already done,
Right.
and it's a huge opportunity to learn. Functional CMOs usually love working with people that are innovative, that are
Well,
creative.
hold on. Let's talk about that for a second then. Imagine that I'm the junior person on that team, okay?
Well,
I'm one of the junior marketers, right? And my company has brought in a fractional CMO. Like, what
mhm.
am I going to learn in that year? What could I learn in that year?
What do you want to learn? What? So then you're a junior person. Say you're 2 years after college.
Yeah.
What are you passionate about in marketing? I love to have those conversations with interns and with my junior staff. What are you passionate about? What do you want to learn? What do you want to do? And it's not necessarily what you will do 100%
Right.
of the time, but if I will allow you to do or to be involved in what you're passionate about, to experiment, etc., first, you will gain experience. Second, I will gain someone who is extremely passionate about and has the drive to do things. And it's a win win.
Well, Sudeep, I want to pivot that question a little bit, okay? I don't know if you have kids, but if you have kids and they're old enough, eventually you might also ask yourself the same question. What do you wish junior marketers would ask you during the year that you're going to be with them? What do you wish they would like ask so that you could tell them?
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes from exactly like Ilan said, what do you want to learn? Where is
Yeah.
that area of focus that you have? So let's say if you're a copywriter currently, but you're interested in AI automation because you just got interested in it with the trend. So talk to me about that. So even though a fractional CMO may not be expected to grow the team and develop the team and have
Mhm.
promotions in their team as a full-time CMO would, the idea is still the same. I may not be held accountable for that, but especially me personally, I love doing that.
Yeah.
If I
What do
am
you wish they would ask you personally?
personally, ask me
Yeah.
about anything in my career so far. Ask me about any project I've done. Ask me about my rationale behind anything new that I've done, anything that I've suggested, anything that I've strategically done. Ask me why. Ask
Yeah.
me what is my framework in thinking about that. Absorb as much as you can.
Okay.
Can I answer this question?
Yes.
A very
I did
simple,
ask you this question, but go ahead. Yes.
the best junior folks ask or should ask one very simple question: what do I need to do in order to be in your seat?
Yeah.
Either to replace you or to be in your seat in 5 to 10 years. Teach me, coach
Okay.
me, mentor me. Very
So,
simple.
Sudeep, let's imagine that it's the end of the 1 year of this hypothetical engagement. Okay. What went right so you got renewed for another year?
I mean, the obvious answer would be about one, when you get into that contract, what has been established are some deliverables, some milestones. What is the picture of success that's already been established? That's a given. Some of those goals, maybe the goalposts have shifted a little bit as
Sure.
things went on, especially with longer engagements. So, what does everybody involved, all of the stakeholders involved in the decision, what do they feel about performance against that? That is a given. There is no way to sidestep that. But outside of that, I think when it comes to renewals, simple things like what was the impact you left, for example, on these junior people in the organization? What was the impact you left on other functions? Did you take the initiative to help out with stuff that wasn't strictly under your contract, but just because you saw there's clearly an inefficiency, and I actually have worked through this before, so here's something I would advise. And then a lot of, the fuzzier stuff about culture fit. Are you a great person to work with for the set of people that you're working with? That goes a long way. Not everything is a hard skill match and all of that. So I think that is definitely what would be considered. And people might not admit that any of the decision making was not perfectly logical or rational, but we're emotional people. We think with our hearts.
So let's I love reversing the questions, right, Ilan? Uh, so first of all, Ilan, do you feel like you know a lot of fractional CMOs, like personally?
Quite a few, yes.
Okay. So imagine that one of them came to you and or you were in like a group meeting or something, a networking meeting or something, and one of them mentioned, "Yeah, I didn't get renewed, after the 1 year." What goes through your mind like, okay, I know like the 2 or 3 reasons why that likely happened. Like what are the reasons that you don't get renewed? As a fractional CMO, I mean, not you personally. I'm sure everyone renews all the time for you, Ilan, but otherwise.
Reason number one typically evolves around human relations. Even more important than meeting goals. You may get renewed even if you miss the goals, not by huge, but if you
Right.
miss some of the goals, but you will never get renewed if there is some kind of an interpersonal challenge, and it's usually either with the CEO, with the CRO or the head of sales, and or with your team. These are the main functions that you work with on a daily basis, or almost on a daily basis. And it's critical to have chemistry. Now, you can't really achieve that 100% of the time. We're all human beings, like Sudeep said. You aim to be nice, but you nice and professional, and to work with others. But sometimes there can be situations beyond your control. So this is the most important thing. So I would ask that person what happened. Is it because they didn't miss the goals? Is it because of some frictions with typically the CEO that happened? And actually, this is not a hypothetical. I've done that before.
Yeah.
And the modern goals, what usually keeps recurring is challenges between the CMO and the CEO. Sometimes it's just the CMO that has issues.
I was in a group. I am not a fractional CMO, right? As you know. And I was in a group and someone was like very candid about why they were not getting renewed, why they had lost that client. And I hadn't heard the answer before. And but she said, I let myself become an order taker.
And that probably gets back or circles back to what I said about a CEO that thinks that they are also the CMO and more involved on the tactical level rather than just delegate and trust. And this is probably, look, it's their baby. I understand them. But don't bring a CMO. Doesn't matter if it's a fractional or a full-time. Don't bring a CMO if you want to utilize their skills and experience and let them work.
Yeah.
It's meaningless. Be your own CMO. That's fine. Like a company at the first step has founder-led sales. You don't really have a salesperson.
Yeah.
You can also have founder-led marketing. That's really fine. But when you bring someone, make sure that you trust them and delegate.
Speaking of not getting renewed and the other trials and tribulations, right, and the challenges involved, Sudeep, so we've got to wind down our talk today. But why? There are easier ways to make a living, right? Like, why do this?
I'm sure the reasons are different for every single person you will speak with, which is, why this podcast exists. But for me, there's amongst, the reasons around, you get to drive a lot of the direction your career takes, the kind of clients you take on, et cetera. Apart from those obvious things, two things that really make it meaningful for me. One is the opportunity for cross-contextual learning. And I don't really work with just one industry. I work across industry with more of a functional expertise. But even with people that work in the same industry, there's always stuff that happens differently with different clients. And I've seen those neural connections where one light bulb going off here and another one going off here, they connect somehow. So a lot of times I've been able to bring in ideas from a totally different space for a totally different problem into something like this. And that aha moment, that really gives me a kick.
Right.
And the second one is the ability to, you're going to have to pardon my language, but no BS work for the most part.
I'm still waiting for you to tell me any language I would have to pardon, but keep going. I'll keep an ear out for the swear word. Go ahead.
We're already done with it. I slid that in. So the idea that in a more traditional kind of space, let's say if you, like me, really love the craft of marketing, you love the innovation that's happening in it, you love that whole universe, you don't only get to do that. There's a lot of other stuff you need to do, whether it's, red tapey stuff, or it's stuff around just the company scale requires a bunch of things, or it's feedback and appraisals, whatever it is that you don't enjoy. There's very little of that and a lot more of what you actually enjoy. So that also translates into impact. So what I'm able to accomplish in 1 week working with the set of clients that I have at that time feels like it's a lot more than what I would have been able to do sitting in a lot of unnecessary meetings, for example, otherwise, or chasing down things that are not really adding value to my customers, whether it's clients or their customers. So the energy of that is
Right.
really what keeps it going.
And Ilan, what's your, how have you convinced yourself that this job is better than what you could otherwise be doing? What lie or story have you told yourself? Go ahead.
So I haven't been there yet as a fractional CMO, but I've been there multiple times as a marketing consultant.
Right.
The time when you get the phone from your founder, CEO, that, hey, Ilan, we just signed a deal to sell the company. I think the biggest deal that I was involved with was $500 million that the customer got sold. Or going through and supporting a NASDAQ IPO. And I mean, it's a rush of adrenaline and a rush of energy and success. Like it's unbelievable. It's just a feeling of success, of knowing that you were a tiny part of something great and that you've really made an impact. You've helped make an impact.
Right.
That's one thing. Now, why fractional CMO? Because I love doing multiple things in marketing. And there are two types of CMOs in general, also fractional CMOs. There are those who come to manage a team, and there are those who like to be in the trenches and get their hands dirty. Not everything, but to actually do some of the job on the strategic side. I'm the second type. It just wasn't interesting for me to just manage a large team and to just be a leader. Some people love it. I've done it before. That's not me.
Yeah, good for them, but yeah, not me.
Yeah.
Not anymore. I've managed enough people. I'm not going back to managing people again.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so let's wind this down. Ilan, who should reach out to you, and how should they do it?
Well, let's start with the second. The easiest way to reach out to me is via LinkedIn. Two types of audiences that I'm catered to. The first one is small startups who want to grow, who want to be successful, especially cybersecurity ones or startups that sell that sell mission critical or high ticket either product or service.
Right.
This is what I excel at. This is number one. This is the small ones. For the product marketing consulting, these are typically larger companies, also mostly cybersecurity or mission critical products or services. And these are typically companies that are at least 200 or 300 people. They already have product marketing. You rarely need to build things from scratch, but they have a strategic gap. They need someone to come in and help. And that's what I'm doing for multiple companies.
Okay. And Sudeep, who should contact you and how?
If your company has realized that you need more structure, focus, and consistency in all of your brand, marketing, advertising, communication work, and you're kind of stuck in the loop of just looking at tactics without having taken that 20, 30,000 feet view, talk to me. LinkedIn, again, it's right here on the screen, is the best way to reach out to me. And I'd love to have a chat.
All right. Thank you, Sudeep. Thank you, Ilan. This has been great. I learned a lot. Sorry for the uncomfortable questions, but
No, it was fun. Thank you.
They were great questions.
Yes, they were.
Okay, and thank you for watching. I appreciate it, everyone. And thanks for watching. This is episode 54, I think. And so maybe we'll catch you in 55. Have a good day. Bye.
Good day.